Welcome to the Friday Night Campfire Stories. My name is Rob, and I will be your host for this evening. If you're new here, this is my series where every single Friday we share a chapter from one of my original stories right here on YouTube. Last week we started a brand new story called Utopia. It's a mystery, thriller, conspiracy type of story. The story follows Anna, who starts out as a young girl, and she lives in this perfect town of perfect people, perfect streets, perfect food, perfect everything. Almost too perfect. As Anna gets older, she has a desire to want to leave Edenville and go explore other places. However, it seems like the town and her family is holding her back from doing that. And that starts to kind of make her suspicious. We left off at a very intense moment. So if you didn't watch Chapter 1, I would recommend going back and watching Chapter 1 now before getting into Chapter 2. But if you've watched Chapter 1, I know you've been waiting for this for a minute. So let's get into it. This is Chapter 2 of Utopia.
Utopia, Chapter 2. Anna leaned her head against the cold steel wall of the storm shelter, her arms wrapped tightly around her knees. The small, dim space was suffocating, the only sound the soft hum of air circulating through a tiny vent. She had no sense of time, but guessed it had been at least 2 hours since her parents had locked her inside. Her mind replayed the events of the night over and over, each piece fitting awkwardly into the larger puzzle she'd been trying to solve. The map, the evasive answers, the tension in her parents' voices. Why isn't Edenville on the map? Why do they act like leaving this place is unthinkable? And why did they lock me in here? She stared at the floor, frustration building with every unanswered question. For the first time in her life, Anna felt like a stranger in her own home, in her own town. The walls she had never noticed before, the boundaries of her perfect life, were suddenly too close, too rigid. Finally, she heard the faint sound of the lock clicking. The door creaked open, and her father's face appeared, a nervous smile plastered across it. "Anna, sweetheart," Marcus said, his voice overly cheerful. "The storm has passed. You can come out now." Anna exited the shelter slowly, her eyes narrowing. "What storm?" she snapped, brushing past him. Her mother stood at the top of the basement stairs, wringing her hands. "We didn't want to scare you," Lila began, her voice gentle. "It was just a precaution." Anna stormed up the stairs and into the living room, her anger bubbling over. She threw open the front door and stepped outside, expecting to see fallen branches, overturned trash cans, something, anything, to indicate a storm had passed. Instead, the neighborhood was as pristine as ever. The trees were perfectly upright, the lawns immaculate, not a single leaf out of place. The streetlights cast their usual warm glow, and in the distance, she could hear the faint hum of someone mowing their lawn. She spun around to face her parents, who had followed her outside. "This is ridiculous," Anna said, her voice trembling with anger. "There's no storm. There wasn't even a breeze." Her father's face tightened. "Anna, don't be dramatic. Tornadoes can be unpredictable. It might not have hit here directly, but nothing," Anna shouted. "You locked me in that shelter for no reason. Do you know how insane that is?" "Anna," her mother said soothingly, reaching out a hand, "we just wanted to keep you safe." "Safe from what?" Anna demanded. "The imaginary tornado? Or the truth you're so desperate to keep from me?" Her parents froze, their faces pale. For a moment, the perfect facade they always wore seemed to crack. "Enough," Marcus said firmly, his tone low and final. "You're tired. It's been a long day. Let's not turn this into something it isn't." Anna crossed her arms, glaring at them. "You always do this," she said bitterly. "You change the subject, distract me, act like I'm crazy." "Well, I'm not crazy. Something is wrong, and you both know it." Her mother opened her mouth to respond, but seemed to think better of it. Instead, she forced a smile and gestured toward the house. "Come inside, Anna. Let's all get some rest." Anna hesitated, her fists clenched, before reluctantly stepping back inside. But as she climbed the stairs to her room, she made a silent vow. "They can dodge my questions all they want. I'm going to find out the truth about Edenville, whether they like it or not. Anna sat on the paper-covered examination table in Dr. Elias's office, her legs swinging slightly. The familiar, sterile scent of the room was oddly comforting, a constant in a world that was beginning to feel anything but. Dr. Elias walked in, his white coat swishing as he carried a clipboard. His greying hair and warm smile had always put her at ease. "Well, there's my favourite patient," he said with a chuckle. "How's the valedictorian doing today?" "Hi, Dr. Elias," Anna said, managing a small smile. The checkup proceeded as usual. He measured her height and weight, listened to her heart and lungs, and checked her reflexes. Everything about his manner was friendly and professional, just as it had been for the past 18 years. "Well, Anna," Dr. Elias said as he finished making notes on her chart, "you're as healthy as ever. Nothing to worry about." "Thanks," Anna said, hopping off the table. She hesitated for a moment, then decided to press him. "Dr. Elias, can I ask you something?" "Of course," he said, sitting down in the chair across from her. "What's on your mind?" Anna bit her lip, choosing her words carefully. "Do you ever feel like Edenville is too perfect?" Dr. Elias tilted his head, his expression curious. "Too perfect? What do you mean?" "I mean, nothing ever goes wrong here," Anna said. "No one gets sick, no one fights, nothing bad ever happens. It's like it's not real." Dr. Elias's smile faltered for a fraction of a second before returning. "Well, Anna, I think that just means we're lucky to live in such a well-run community. Good leadership, good people. That's what makes Edenville special." "But why doesn't anyone ever leave?" Anna pressed. "Why aren't we on any maps? Why can't I go to college outside of here?" Dr. Elias's friendly demeanor wavered. He leaned back in his chair, clasping his hands. "Anna, I understand you have questions, but sometimes the answers aren't as mysterious as they seem. Edenville is your home. It's where you're meant to thrive." "That doesn't answer my question," Anna said, her tone sharper. "Anna," he said gently, "I've known you since the day you were born. You're an exceptional young woman, but don't let curiosity lead you to doubt the good things in your life. Edenville is a gift." Anna studied his face, searching for any crack in his carefully constructed response. "You're hiding something," she said softly. Dr. Elias's smile tightened. "Anna, I'm your doctor. My job is to keep you healthy and happy. That's all." Unsatisfied, Anna nodded and stood up. "Thanks, doctor," she said, her voice clipped. "Take care, Anna," he replied, his tone as warm as ever. As Anna walked down the hall toward the waiting room, she heard voices coming from a nearby office. She recognized Dr. Elias's voice, low and calm as always, but the second voice made her freeze. It was the mayor. She inched closer to the door, keeping to the shadows. "I'm telling you, she's starting to ask questions," Dr. Elias said, his tone measured but firm. "She's too curious," the mayor replied, his voice sharp. "We can't afford for her to dig any deeper." "She's just a teenager," Dr. Elias said. "Let her figure things out on her own. She doesn't need interference." The mayor's voice lowered, and Anna had to strain to hear. "You know what's at stake, Elias. If she—" The rest was muffled, but Anna caught fragments. "The project, containment, for her own good." Her heart pounded as she pressed herself against the wall. "She's fine," Dr. Elias said firmly. "She doesn't need to be micromanaged. Let her live her life." "Keep me updated," the mayor said, his tone icy. "She's too important for mistakes." Footsteps approached the door, and Anna quickly stepped back, pretending to scroll through her phone. Dr. Elias emerged first, his face troubled, followed by the mayor, who didn't even glance her way as he strode down the hall. Anna's mind raced as she left the building. It wasn't just her parents. The mayor, Dr. Elias, maybe even the entire town, they were all hiding something. As she walked home, one thing became terrifyingly clear. Edenville's perfection wasn't natural, it was controlled. The afternoon sun bathed the park in warm light, as Anna sat on the swing, absent-mindedly pushing herself back and forth. She'd texted Eva to meet her here, needing someone to talk to. Her mind was still spinning from what she'd overheard at Dr. Elias's office, and she didn't trust herself to process it alone. Eva arrived a few minutes later, her cheerful smile lighting up the space between them. She was wearing her signature denim jacket and a yellow sundress, her dark curls bouncing as she walked. "Hey, Anna," Eva said, plopping down on the swing next to her. "What's up? You sounded stressed in your text." Anna hesitated, unsure where to begin. Eva was her best friend, the one person in Edenville she felt she could truly trust. They'd been inseparable since they were kids, from sleepovers to study sessions to late-night talks about their dreams. If there was anyone Anna could confide in, it was Eva. "I just needed to clear my head," Anna said, looking down at her feet as she dug them into the gravel. "Okay," Eva said, studying her. "You're scaring me a little." Spill, Anna smiled faintly. "It's nothing bad, or maybe it is. I don't know." "Anna, come on," Eva said, nudging her with her foot. "You know I'm not going to let you sit here brooding. Just tell me." Anna took a deep breath. "Do you ever feel like things in Edenville are too good to be true?" Eva tilted her head, her expression thoughtful. "Well, it is pretty perfect. But isn't that a good thing?" "I used to think so," Anna admitted, "but lately it feels off. Like there's something people aren't telling me." "Like what?" Anna hesitated, glancing around the empty park. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "I found a map at the mayor's office. Edenville wasn't on it. And then, at my doctor's appointment, I overheard him and the mayor talking about me. About how I'm important somehow." Eva's brows furrowed. "That's weird," she said, her tone neutral. "Right?" Anna said, her voice rising slightly. "And it's not just that. My parents have been acting strange, like they're trying to keep me here no matter what." Eva reached out and placed a reassuring hand on Anna's arm. "Anna, that does sound strange, but maybe there's an explanation. Maybe they're just being overprotective." "It's more than that," Anna said, shaking her head. "I can feel it. There's something about Edenville that isn't real. And I need to figure out what it is." Eva leaned back slightly, her eyes narrowing in thought. For a moment, she said nothing, and Anna felt a pang of doubt. Finally, Eva smiled, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "If you feel like something's wrong, then you should figure it out. You're the smartest person I know, Anna. If anyone can get to the bottom of this, it's you." Anna felt a flicker of relief, but also something else, an unease she couldn't quite place. Eva's words were supportive, but her tone felt calculated, as though she were choosing her words carefully. "Thanks, Eva," Anna said softly. "Of course," Eva replied, her smile widening. "Just be careful, okay? Sometimes when we dig for answers, we find things we're not ready to handle." Anna nodded, though her unease lingered. "I will." As they sat together, watching the sun dip lower in the sky, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that her world was shifting beneath her feet. Anna sat at her desk, her laptop humming softly. The late-night quiet of her bedroom should have been comforting, but her mind was racing. She typed Edenville history into the search bar and hit enter. For a moment, the screen loaded as normal, and she leaned forward in anticipation. Then, without warning, the connection dropped. "Error. Unable to connect to the internet." She frowned, refreshing the page. Nothing. Sighing in frustration, she closed the laptop and waited a few minutes before trying again. This time, she tried searching Edenville origins. Again, her internet cut out the moment she hit enter. "What the hell?" she muttered. The pattern continued for days. Every time she searched for anything remotely related to Edenville, her internet would mysteriously disconnect. When she searched unrelated terms, like recipes or movies, it worked perfectly fine. It wasn't just the internet. When she tried the public library, the shelves seemed to lack any meaningful history books about the town. She asked the librarian about records or archives, but they claimed Edenville had no need for them. Everything important had been perfectly preserved in the town's collective memory. Strange, Anna said, forcing a polite smile as she walked away, empty-handed yet again. The weeks turned into months. Every attempt to learn about Edenville seemed to hit a dead end. The locals were pleasant, but when Anna casually brought up the town's history, they either changed the subject or gave her rehearsed, surface-level answers. Her suspicion grew like a shadow, creeping into every corner of her life. The shopkeepers, her neighbors, even her parents, all of them started to feel less like people and more like robots. By the time summer was drawing to a close, Anna's frustration had reached a boiling point. She needed answers, and she was running out of places to look. One evening, she called Eva to meet her at their favorite coffee shop. It was one of the few places in Edenville where Anna felt even a sliver of normalcy. Eva arrived promptly, as always, sliding into the booth across from Anna with a warm smile. "You look like you haven't slept in weeks," Eva said, her tone teasing. "What's going on?" "I've been researching," Anna said carefully. "Researching what?" "Edenville," Anna admitted, studying Eva's reaction. Eva's smile faltered, but only for a second. "Edenville? Why?" Anna hesitated. I feel like there's more to this place than we've been told. And every time I try to find out, something blocks me. It's like the whole town is hiding something." Eva sipped her coffee thoughtfully, her eyes fixed on Anna. "That's a big accusation," she said lightly, but there was an edge to her tone. "I know," Anna said, leaning forward. "But I can't shake the feeling that something's wrong. You don't feel it too?" Eva didn't answer right away. Instead, she glanced around the coffee shop as if making sure no one was listening. Then she leaned in closer. "You ever think about the mayor's office?" she asked. Anna frowned. "What about it?" Eva hesitated again, then smiled. "It's just, if I were you, I'd start there. He's the one running the show, isn't he?" The comment seemed casual, but it struck Anna like a lightning bolt. "You're right," Anna said slowly, her mind already racing. "He is." "Just be careful," Eva added, her voice soft. "You don't want to get in trouble." As they left the coffee shop, Anna couldn't help but feel both grateful and uneasy. Eva had given her the breakthrough she needed, but a question lingered in the back of her mind. How did Eva know what to suggest? The cool night air bit at Anna's skin as she crouched in the bushes outside the mayor's office. Her pulse was a wild drumbeat in her ears, and every rustle of leaves felt deafening. The building loomed before her, its dark windows reflecting the faint glow of the streetlights. She clutched a flashlight in one hand and her phone in the other, its screen dark to avoid drawing attention. This was the first time in her life she'd ever broken the rules, and the thrill of it was almost drowned out by her fear of being caught. Anna had waited until the late-night cleaning staff left, watching from the shadows. Now the building was silent, the perfect opportunity. "Okay, Anna," she whispered to herself, steeling her nerves. "Just in and out, find something. Anything." She darted across the small courtyard, her sneakers silent on the concrete. The back door was locked, but she'd expected that. From her research, what little she could do without triggering suspicion, she'd learned that older buildings like this sometimes had faulty windows. She crept along the side of the building, testing each one. On the third try, the window shifted slightly under her touch. Holding her breath, she pushed it open just enough to squeeze through. The mayor's office was on the second floor, but the building's interior was eerily quiet. The faint hum of a vending machine down the hall was the only sound as Anna tiptoed up the stairs, her flashlight pointed downward to avoid detection. When she reached the mayor's office, she hesitated. The door loomed like a guardian of secrets, and for a moment, she questioned whether she was really ready to do this. But the memory of the map in her pocket, the map that erased her entire existence, spurred her forward. The handle turned easily, and she slipped inside, closing the door softly behind her. The office was just as she remembered it, a large desk, bookshelves filled with meaningless decorations, and the faint scent of polished wood. The darkness made it feel more oppressive, as though the room itself were alive and watching her. Anna moved quickly but methodically, opening drawers and flipping through papers. Most of them were mundane, budget reports, meeting agendas, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something important was hidden here. Her heart leapt when she found a locked drawer. She pulled at it, but it wouldn't budge. "Of course," she muttered, her voice barely audible. She rifled through the other drawers, searching for a key. After what felt like an eternity, she found one taped under the desk. "Gotcha," she whispered. She inserted the key into the lock, her hands trembling. The drawer slid open with a metallic click, revealing a folder marked Project Eden in bold letters. Her eyes widened. This was it. She reached for the folder. The sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway. Anna froze, her hand hovering over the drawer. The footsteps grew louder, more distinct, and she realized with horror that they were heading straight for the office. Panic surged through her. She grabbed the folder and looked around frantically. The closet. It was her only option. She shoved the folder into her bag and slipped into the closet, closing the door just as the office door creaked open. Through the thin slats of the closet door, Anna could see the mayor enter the room. He didn't turn on the lights, but his silhouette was unmistakable. He moved to the desk, his movements brisk and purposeful. Anna clamped a hand over her mouth, her breathing shallow and rapid. She willed herself to stay silent, even as her heart threatened to pound its way out of her chest. The mayor muttered something under his breath as he opened a drawer. Anna couldn't make out the words, but his tone was sharp, almost angry. He rummaged for a moment, then straightened abruptly. "Not here," he said, his voice low but clear. Anna's stomach turned. He was looking for the folder. The mayor lingered for another minute before stepping out of the office, shutting the door behind him. Anna stayed frozen, every muscle in her body tense. Just when she thought it was safe to leave, she heard faint voices outside the office. "She's asking too many questions," the mayor said, his voice fading as he walked away. "We need to keep her in line." Anna's blood ran cold. The voices faded, leaving behind an unsettling silence. Anna stayed rooted in place for a moment longer, her breath shallow as she strained to hear any lingering sounds. Finally, she felt it was safe. With trembling hands, she reached for the closet door and pushed it open, only to stop dead in her tracks. This wasn't a closet. The space beyond was dimly lit, the faint hum of fluorescent lights overhead casting a sterile glow. It was a hallway, the walls bare concrete, leading downward at a slight incline. The air was cool and carried the faint scent of motor oil and metal. Anna's heart pounded as she stepped cautiously into the passageway, the realization sinking in that she'd stumbled onto something she was never meant to see. The tunnel stretched on endlessly, the sound of her footsteps echoing around her. The farther she walked, the larger the space seemed to grow. The walls widened, opening into an expansive underground complex that looked like a cross between a parking garage and a storage facility. Rows of cars were lined up neatly, their polished surfaces gleaming under the industrial lights. But these weren't like the sleek, modest vehicles she saw around Edenville. These were different, older, larger, and covered in logos and names she didn't recognize. Anna ran her hand over the hood of one car, her fingers brushing against a layer of dust. It felt as though these vehicles had been parked here for years, forgotten in the shadows. "What is this place?" she whispered, her voice swallowed by the cavernous space. She moved deeper into the underground, her eyes darting around at the strange assortment of items stacked along the walls. Boxes labeled with strange codes. Machinery she didn't recognize. Even racks of clothing, the styles completely out of place for Edenville. The deeper she ventured, the more surreal it became. This place was enormous, a hidden world beneath the perfect surface of her hometown. Anna's exploration eventually brought her to a door at the far end of the complex. It was heavy and industrial, with a keypad lock beside it. To her surprise, The door creaked open when she pushed it, revealing a smaller, more controlled space. The room was filled with monitors, their screens glowing faintly in the dim light. Cameras, dozens of them. Anna's stomach turned as she stepped closer and realized what she was seeing. Each screen displayed a live feed of Edenville, the park, the town square, the streets outside her high school, even the inside of her own home. Her hand flew to her mouth as she stared at the screens in horror. How long had this been going on? How had she never noticed? On the far side of the room, rows of filing cabinets stretched along the wall, each drawer labeled with neat, uniform letters. Anna's curiosity overpowered her fear. She walked to the cabinets, her fingers trembling as she pulled open one of the drawers. Inside were rows of manila folders, each labeled with a name. Her heart stopped when she found her own name. She pulled the folder out and opened it on a nearby table. The first thing she saw was a photograph of herself, taken only a few months ago. Below it was a sheet of paper filled with detailed information. Her birthday, her height, her medical history, even her daily schedule. She flipped through the pages, each one more invasive than the last. Then she found a document that made her blood run cold. It was a record of her family. Her parents' names were listed at the top, but they weren't the names she knew. Instead of Lila and Marcus Daniels, the document listed Victor and Evelyn Gray. Anna stared at the names, her mind reeling. Who were these people? If they were her biological parents, then who were the people she'd called Mom and Dad her entire life? The next page offered no comfort. It was filled with ominous notes. Subject must remain in Edenville. Do not allow contact with outside world. All inquiries about family history to be deflected. Her hands shook as she read the words. Her entire life had been a lie, meticulously controlled by people she didn't even know. She slammed the folder shut, her mind racing. She needed answers, but more than that, she needed to get out of this room before someone found her. Anna shoved the folder into her bag and hurried back through the maze of the underground complex. Every shadow seemed to move, every sound made her jump. When she finally emerged into the night air, she was gasping for breath. The town above looked as pristine and tranquil as ever, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling in her mind. This wasn't over, not even close. But now Anna knew one thing for certain. Edenville wasn't just hiding secrets. Edenville was a secret.
So that is going to do it for today. I hope that you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to click that like button, hit that subscribe button. We make 3 full-length videos every single week. Every Monday we do an episode of Echoes of the Past, which is my paranormal history and haunting series. Every Wednesday we do an episode of Far From Fiction, which is my true crime series. And then every Friday, the namesake of the channel, the Friday Night Campfire Stories. Next week, we will be getting into Chapter 3 of Utopia. We are halfway done with the story, but there is so much left to offer, and so much more of the mystery to unravel, so you definitely don't want to miss another episode. So like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and as always, thank you for spending a little bit of your evening here with me.